Nama saya Irfani Sakina, saya berasal dari Makassar. Ibu dan ayah saya berprofesi sebagai guru fisika. Sejak kecil saya tahu saya ingin menjadi ilmuwan. Karena itu setelah lulus SMA, saya memilih jurusan teknik geofisika. Tak banyak perempuan yang memilih jurusan ini karena banyaknya aktivitas lapangan yang harus dilakukan, tapi saya tetap maju karena dukungan dari orang tua dan teman-teman saya. Di jurusan ini, saya mulai belajar tentang pemrograman dan statistika yang ternyata menjadi salah satu mata kuliah yang sangat saya gemari. Setelah lulus, saya langsung mempelajari tentang data, machine learning, dan AI. Akan tetapi, setelah selesai, saya merasa masih belum siap untuk melamar pekerjaan di bidang data. Saya sudah belajar banyak teori, tapi merasa masih perlu banyak praktek. Saat itu saya tahu tentang Bangkit dan tanpa ragu mendaftar. Lalu kemudian diterima dan saya sangat senang. Bangkit membantu saya mempersiapkan diri untuk bekerja di bidang teknologi dan juga melalui sesi-sesi soft skill yang komprehensif. Dalam salah satu sesi soft skill tentang growth mindset, sang mentor memberitahu bahwa kita bisa menjadi siapa saja yang kita inginkan selama kita mau melatih diri. Hal ini membuat saya percaya untuk bisa meraih pekerjaan impian saya. Pada akhir Juni, saya melihat lowongan pekerjaan sebagai data scientist di Jakarta, dan dengan bekal skill dan pengalaman saya di Bangkit, saya beranikan untuk melamar. Pada wawancara kedua, saya pun ditanya mengenai bagaimana cara saya mempelajari statistika dan big data. Jadi saya ceritakan tentang Bangkit, juga bagaimana Bangkit memfasilitasi kami untuk mendapatkan sertifikasi dari TensorFlow dan Coursera. Dan hanya seminggu setelah wawancara yang terakhir, saya dihubungi bahwa saya diterima. Alhamdulillah, sekarang saya sudah hampir bekerja 2 bulan dan saya merasa sangat senang bisa melakukan pekerjaan saya dengan baik dari ilmu-ilmu yang saya peroleh dari Bangkit. Kedepannya, saya ingin melanjutkan pendidikan dan mempelajari bagaimana AI, khususnya machine learning, dapat secara optimal diaplikasikan ke bidang geothermal. Terakhir, saya ingin mengucapkan selamat kepada semua lulusan Bangkit. Saya sangat bangga menjadi bagian dari Bangkit, perjalanan yang tidak mudah, tapi kita berhasil melewatinya. Beberapa bulan terakhir mengajarkan saya untuk selalu mengejar realitas di depan mata. Hidup tak pernah menjanjikan perjalanan yang mudah, mungkin ada kalanya kita merasa kosong dan tak pasti, tapi selalu ada harapan untuk terus berjuang.
Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Halo, Mister. Oke,
Hello.
hi folks, how you all doing? Hope you on your best shape. So do I. Okay, great. So let's get started. Welcome at Bangkit guest speaker session with team Kickstart your career as an Android developer. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Cendikia Nazalia. My friend used to call me Chen. Before we begin, I would like to say a big thank you to Bangkit team who has facilitated this session so that we can all participate here in this awesome opportunity. Of course, this thing is that has been prepared in advance, so keep paying attention and take as much insight as possible from our speaker today. Maybe before I start, I want to ask you first, you can answer from column chat box. I want to know, please raise your hand. Who excited to start their career in the role of Android developer? Okay, wow. Okay. So it's like 1 million people here. I don't have that many figure to count. Okay, talking about career on the Android developer path. Our speaker today will share everything starting for his career journey from zero to hero, and then he will guide us how to become an Android professional and what preparation needs to be made. And this is exclusive for you guys, so later we will both follow this session well, and if you have any question, don't be shy to ask, feel free to ask. Okay, let's get to know more about our speaker today, Mr. Andrew Kurniadi, who graduated from Seattle University, Washington, D.C., co-founder and CEO Lumio.id, an entrepreneur and also Google Android developer expert. So please welcome Mr. Andrew Kurniadi. Hello,
Thank
Mr.
you, Cendikia. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Okay, take your time, Mister.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
So, hi everyone. thank you, Chandikya, for the introductions. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share my journey as an Android developer. Um, so I guess I'll just start. So at first, before I start sharing my journey, I just want to say that I really like the name of this program, Bangkit, right? So it means rise up. Since I was still studying in the States, I guess I always want to return uh, to my country, Indonesia, to make more people rise up, right? Like to rise up more developers, and I guess this opportunity is a great opportunity for me to do that. So here we go. So I guess we'll start with an overview of my journey as an Android developer. So my first professional jobs, I guess, not Android per se at first, because at that time there is no Android. Is when I was working at Philips Healthcare. So at that time, I've been enjoying programming, and I love to do mobile programming at that time. I don't know if you guys know Pocket PC. Probably I'm too old for that. I guess you guys are too young, so that's why you didn't know. But I guess if you know Pocket PC, at that time there was Windows CE, Palm Pilot. That's old. I know that's old, and that's the first mobile device that we have, right? And at that time when I was working at Philips, I think Android came out around 2008, and at Philips I was working for to build ultrasound machines. So I was working, if you know ultrasounds that you guys use to check the babies inside a mother womb, and for other medical purposes. That's what I was doing, a lot of signal processing, but it's all on PCs, right? But at that time, when Android came out, like I was thinking, like, yeah, probably it'd be good if we can have a portable ultrasound machine, right? But at that time, I guess the machines wasn't that powerful enough. I guess all the devices at that time wasn't powerful enough to do that. And so I was working there, and then around, I think at that time, since the ultrasound machines idea is not going to work, right? So Android came out, and I just jump into and try to learn that platform. So I guess after I worked for Philips and then built my first app, I guess I'll give you more details. This is just an overview for it. So I got another job at Catch.com. It's in Silicon Valley. It's a startup. You'll know more after this, like the detailed story. And after that, I returned to Indonesia to start a software house. I think at that time, AppsIndo. And then now I guess I'm focusing on a product idea. It's called Lumio.id, and along this journey, I think I've been doing a lot of Android programming, even though sometimes I need to do other management things, like in AppsIndo and Lumio.id, but I still do a lot of mobile programming, especially in Android. So here's the detail of my journey. Okay, so first, I guess I told you that I was working at Philips, right? And at that time, Android came out, and the first thing that I want to do is to learn about the platform, because I really enjoy the idea of Android. Like, it's an open source platform, and you can do a lot of things on it instead of, like, I think at that time Apple was still doing web app on their first iPhone, and that's why I really enjoy and I want to learn how to program in Android. And this is my first device. I don't know if you all seen this before. It's called T-Mobile G1, and this is like the first Android phone, like commercial Android phone out there. And it looks ugly. I know a lot of my friends told me that it's an ugly device, but I think I really enjoy using it, especially with the physical keyboard. At the time, the software keyboard wasn't that good, right? And so once I got this device, the first thing that I do is to start going to Android try to see the documentations for Android and how to start building an app for it, right? And I guess if some of you is already learning Android, probably this is the first thing that you need to know. I think activity life cycle. This is, I think, one of the most important things that you need to learn, like to remember as an Android developer. And at that time, there wasn't any fragment. I guess this is all the terms in Android programming. So if you already learn basic Android programming, probably you've learned about all these, right? Like activities, fragment. But at that time, when it first came out, there wasn't any fragment, right? It's just activities, and you need to create your own database. There's no libraries on top of it, like that makes your life easier. I guess today you have Room and every other libraries, but at that time you need to create everything yourself. So this is how I learned, I guess. So I just read the documentations and sample codes and just try to build something, right, during my free time. At that time, I was still working at Philips Healthcare. So after countless night, I guess sleepless night, so I built. I guess at last I built my first app, my first Android app. It's called AK Notepad. Probably some of you ask, like, what is AK Notepad? Where's the name comes from? Like, AK is just my initial. So Andrew Kurniadi, and that icon, I think I just created that in one of the graphic editor and just create a simple notepad icon for that. And through that, I mean, why did I pick a notepad app? Because I think at that time there's no notepad app at all. There's no built-in notes taking app in Android, and I think it will be a good platform for me to learn and try to implement features. So at that time, I guess I learned how to build the UI, and then I built I guess the database, right? Like I need to store all the notes in a database, and after that, I guess a lot of Android unique stuff, like at that time was widgets. I can create a widget of one of the notes there. That's one of the features that I put into the app. So there are so many things that you can do on top of a notepad app, right? And you learn a lot of stuff. And I guess my accomplishment doing that, I mean, I never intended this app to be a popular app. It's just for me to learn and just to share it, I guess, online, right? And I think at the end of the life, because I guess you'll know why I need to take it off from the Play Store, is that it got bought up by a company. You'll know more after this, but the current stats, I think it's if you go to Play Store, if you have the direct link for the Notepad app, you still be able to read it. I think in Play Store it's a 5 million plus, but downloads, installs. But at that, I think the last time I checked, when I still have access to the Play Store backend, I think it's around 9 million something, because it jumps from 5 million downloads to 10 millions, right? So if you're between, then it will just say 5 million plus downloads. So I guess I felt that that's one of the biggest accomplishment for me during my journey as Android developer. And I never intended to be like that. And I think that's should inspire you too, because there's no need for us to do a lot of marketings, and you don't need to put a big effort. I guess not on marketing, right? Because as long as you release a good product, I think in this age, digital age, your product can be useful for a lot of people out there. And one important thing why I can have this number of installs is that I always try to listen to the users. So as a developer, you can just create everything, right? You can put all the features that you want, especially if you're working for your own app. You can try to put as many features as you can. But sometimes you just need to listen to user feedbacks and try to process it and see which features is important and which one is not, or will that features make the app more complicated to use, or will it make it the usefulness of this feature will be bigger than the cons, right? Like the pro is greater than cons. So you need to make sure you need to pick the right features to put into the app. So after my app got really popular, that first app, HTC contacted me. At that time, there was only one phone, and I think it's all built by HTC. I don't know if you still know about it, but you can probably look at this company in Wikipedia if you don't know about it. And they built a lot of phones before. Even some companies hired them to build a phone for them. So at that time, the second Android phone is coming, right? And I think it's HTC Hero. And I was really excited when they contacted me, because like my app can be installed directly in their phone, right? Be burned directly to the image their phone. And at that time, I saw a video recording of my phone. I guess my app, the AK Notepad, got tested on the new phone that hasn't been released. That was really cool, especially for me that's still young at that time. Now I'm old. So it was a really exciting time. I worked with, I think, also with Google engineers on their Android platform, because like my app has become really popular, so they want to make sure that it works on the next release of Android. So I got contacted by them. I got contacted by the phone manufacturer company HTC to do testing on their new phones, and so I think I gained a lot of experience on that. And this is the last part of the AK Notepad journey. I guess this part of the journey is that my app got bought out by Catch.com. So they created a Notepad app too, and I think their app is much more powerful, right? Has more features, but I don't know why their download. Users still likes AK Notepad better because it's simple and easy to use. So that's why they were really interested on to gain the users, AK Notepad users, and try to move it to their platform. So that's why they bought the app for some amount of money, and they also gave me a job offer. So at that time, I guess I was working at Philips, right? It's a big and stable company. It's more like an enterprise, I guess, enterprisey. And now this Catch.com is just a startup, but they're based in Silicon Valley, and at that time they also try to raise money, right? So it's a dilemma, I guess, for me at the time. Should I still work with Philips or continue working with Catch.com? So at that time, I decided, okay, yeah, let's do this because I think it's fun. So, and at that time, they haven't even had an office. Like they're still working from an apartment, their CTO apartment, and I think it's a shock, I guess, at first. If you always work for big companies, I guess you have you will see a much difference of experience when you move to smaller companies, because in big companies you have a lot of people to cover for you. You have your job desk, right, and everything is provided for you. They all have different departments that can serve you, I guess, to support you at your workplace. But when you move to a smaller company, a startup company, it's going to be a different thing, right? It will be a different job environment and work environment. And at that time, I still enjoyed. I guess I enjoyed the change because at that time you can get more intimate with your team, and you can still have a lot of say about the product because you're part of the small team, right? And I even learned during that time how their CEO, I guess, talk to venture capitals to raise money. So I got a lot of experience during my time at Catch.com, and I think if you have an opportunity to work in a startup, like a really small startup, I think if you love the idea of the product, I guess their products, and you believe that the product, you should join them, I guess, because it will be interesting. You will have more things to do at first, right? Because you are just part of a small team, and there's no department like dedicated department that will support you. But I think you'll learn a lot during that time. And so I worked for Catch.com, I think, till 2012. So around 2-3 years. Their office, they moved to next door to Twitter's office. So that's a pretty amazing stuff. And at that time, I decided to go back to Indonesia, because I already told you in the beginning that I always want to raise up more developers, right? Because I know that Indonesia has a lot of potentials, but a lot of times, like what I heard from my friends, from my relatives, saying that at the time, the working culture in Indonesia, especially for the in IT, is everyone's trying to just jump to other jobs, right? Just to get a raise for the salary. But I think it changes a lot now. Nowadays, I think the culture is getting better and better, the working culture and in Indonesia. But I still went back and tried to, I guess, to do that, to see the potentials here in Indonesia, and that's why I guess I decided to partner up with a partner to build up a software house called Upsido. And so I still, at this time, I guess, I didn't graduate yet. I don't think I ever graduated from from this, right? Like, because you never stop learning. You always need to keep you need to keep learning during your journey, right? No matter what, whether you're a senior Android developers or after that you become a entrepreneur, it's always a learning process, right? So don't stop learning, okay? So during my time at Upsindo, I had an idea of I think I should build a movie schedule app, because at that time there's only one cinema, right? Probably you all know about it, and I think I don't like the website's UI, so this is another opportunity for me to learn new stuff without any enforcement from other people, because it's my side project and you can do whatever you want and you can learn a lot from that. So I encourage you guys, once probably if you already have a job, even if you have a lot of free times after work, you can and you thought about something, just try to you have an idea, just put it into an app, right? A simple app, it can be a simple app, and it will evolve over time. So it doesn't need to be a complex app at the beginning. You can just start with a simple app that solves a simple problem, just like my Notepad app. And even this app, like what you've seen here, is probably already like the version 2. This is like so the first time I created this, like it was just a simple Android app that uses basic UI, Android UI elements. So I tried to build it so that it feels like an Android app, right? So yeah, and because of this app, I got called by Google, I think, to do an interview for a Google developer expert. So this is a picture of me, probably with others like Siddiq. If you know Siddiq Permana, he's one of the GDE, Ibnu, Sinawardi. At that time, this is the first batch of, I think, Android GDEs. That time there wasn't any Android GDEs in Indonesia, so we're part of the first batch. And yeah, we got called for an interview, and it's like a job interview because they ask you technical stuff and why you want to become a GDE and other stuff like that. And the interview was done by Googlers from around the world. So I think I remember that one of the Googler is from Japan and also from Japan, and then Singapore. So a lot of that's another experience that I will never forget, and I never regret doing that, because after passing 2 interface sessions, I got an email saying that, yeah, now you're an Android Google developer expert. And I think that's really memorable for me, and because of the title, it gives me an opportunity for me to share my knowledge to others, much easier than being nobody and nobody will invite me, right? So I think it's an opportunity for me. I guess it's a good match for me, having this title and what I always wanted to do before. Because at that time I didn't know about any Android community in Indonesia at that time. I just got back from United States, and I was working working on the software house, right, that I was trying to build. So I think this program, I guess Google Developer Experts, gave me, I guess, a much better opportunity for me to share share things to other communities out there and to connect to other Android developers. And so I guess I really enjoy being a Android Google developer expert. So I wish that there would be more people, right, through this Bangkit program. Not that you guys can just get a job, but a lot of there will be more developers that will rise up to share their knowledge to others, because there's still so many, I guess, beginner developers, right, out there that sometimes they need guidance, or sometimes they just need to a push for them to start reading, so that they learn new knowledge, new things. So yeah, if you didn't know about Google Developer Experts program, now I guess in Indonesia we have around 10, but in Android we only have 3. The latest entrance to Android GDE program in Indonesia was Budi. I think he's more famous than me, so. And this is some pictures. My experience becoming GDE is that I think one of the best experience becoming a GDE is that you got invited to Google I/O, to Google Office, right, around the world, and especially I think the best thing that you can do is that they can fund you to go to other cities in Indonesia to just share your knowledge. So I think that's important. And this is when I was with Siddiq in Mountain View for Android Dev Summit. And through this program, I also met a lot of other Android developers. I think they're much better than me. Like this one, this is developer from he used to work in Agoda, Thailand, and now I think he works at Tinder. So, and this is TikTok team from China. So yeah, a lot for you to meet up with other developers, especially from bigger companies, right? And some apps that they built is the one that you're using right now. So, and this is all GDEs from Indonesia. And now now my journey. Let's talk about the present day, right? So what I'm doing right now is that I'm working. I started this with my partner, Lumio.id, and probably you guys were asking. So are you still doing Android development here? Yes, and so here in Lumio.id, it's a little bit different. Like the development stuff that I'm doing is a little bit different than what I did in the past, right? Like with the Notepad app, the Mata app, the movie app, right? That's all like released in Play Store, Google Play Store, and then it's a user-facing app, so people touch their phones and they can just use it, right? But the Android stuff that I'm doing right now is all related to IoT. So, and the app that I'm building is not going to be there will be no user interactions because there's no screen, there's no touch screen, right? It's all going to power a digital signage. So if you want to know what we've done, so we had a small player connected to the cloud, and that's the one that's running Android, and it powers that small box is powering some of the biggest digital signage out there in Jakarta, Indonesia. So this is some of them. So if you've seen that Android is so versatile, right? And you'll see after that I'll explain more about it. But that's why I was really interested doing Android development because of that. Because you can do a lot of stuff, and Android is, since it's open source, runs in a lot of hardwares, right? You can even customize your own OS, Android OS, and that's what we do in our company Lumio.id. So yeah, so that's my journey up till now, and I guess what I want to share after this is more on the advices that I can give you. Yeah, no matter whether you're just started programming in Android, or you already started and you already have a job as an Android developer, I think this will be a good advice that you can apply to your current situations. So I guess first for especially for the ones that's still seeking jobs as an Android developers, I think one of the things that you need to make sure is that you need to know your basic programming fundamentals. So like data structures. I think this applies to any developer jobs or software engineer jobs out there, but I just want to reiterate because this is what my experience when I was in AppSindo trying to interview, I guess trying to trying to seek for new Android developers, and this is what I guess found out during the interview process, that a lot of people doesn't know their basic programming fundamentals. I think you need to know about data structures and algorithms and just like basic stuff, what you've learned at school. I think you need to know that. So with that, I think you're set for, to do not just Android programming, but you can do other stuff too. Like even if you decided to move to iOS development and you want to become web developers, I think these basic programming fundamentals is going to going to apply there too. So this is one of the key things that you need to do to have. Okay, so once you, I guess when you are an Android developer, you shouldn't reinvent the wheel. I guess when I was talking about my the early part of my journey, right? When Android came out, at that time there wasn't any third-party libraries. I guess there's not that many, right? Because the platform was just released. So today, like you'll see a lot of great third-party libraries, and even libraries from Google. So don't reinvent the wheel. It will help you a lot doing your program, and I guess when you do your development work, it will make the result much better. So I guess the key is do not reinvent the wheel. Use what they have already out there, unless there's some specific things that they don't have or they cannot do. You can just always build that part. But for basic stuff like how to store stuff in database, for example, you can use Room, right, from Jetpack library. So yeah, I think today it's a great time for you to become an Android developer, because there's so many stuff out there that can help you to build a great app. So you can spend more times to build to implement your own features and the things that they don't have, and you can build a great app much faster, right? Compared to me when I was doing the Notepad app. At that time there wasn't any there's no help. You just need to read the Android documentations and just try to see whether it works. And I think at that time, because the platform wasn't mature enough, there's so many changes on the API and everything. So yeah, that's why they did a lot of testing, right? So yeah, that's the second things that you need to do, I guess, as a junior, or if you're just a beginner in Android development, that's you shouldn't forget about that. I guess third is to learn to read. Just read, not just books, right? Because like programming books, I think it's good to have, but don't just expect that you can stop reading after reading one book, right? Because in Android development world, it's the tech is always moving, changing, and if you stop reading new stuff about new stuff and new things in Android developments, you'll be behind, right? You'll get behind. So I guess this is what I want to encourage you guys to just read. I think you can just come back to you can go back, like read the Android developer website, right? Once every 2 weeks and just see what's new on that. I think that would be great. Or when you have problems, you can just start reading that, because that's a lot of great resources out there, especially an Android developer website. And fourth things is that you shouldn't just copy and paste when you got the solutions from Stack Overflow or from other websites, because if you just do that, then you don't get to learn anything, right? You just learn how to copy and paste. But if you got the solutions, but you need to understand what's the code is doing. So don't just copy and paste, but try to analyze it and see whether you can improve it, or even if you just use it as is, you need to understand what it's doing. So I think that's another advice. And fifth advice is for you guys to join developer community. Like what I said before, when I was learning about Android development in the early days, right? During the early days, there wasn't any community yet at the time. So I guess I can only do things through reading the documentations, Android documentations. But today you have a lot of resources, and I think even like program like Bangkit, right? And there's community events everywhere, I guess, before COVID came in, right? But I think nowadays they already started to have more events, and especially online events even. So you don't even need to go out from your room, right? You can just like join in through YouTube, just like today, right? And I think that'll be a great resource for you, and it's a networking opportunity too for you. I think joining communities today, for me, it has a lot of benefits, right? Because I know a lot of other devs, a lot of them are much smarter than me, so I can learn from them. I can collaborate with them, right? If you have an idea and then you met somebody in the event, right? And and they have the same vision, you can just start your own company after that. And lastly, I guess, don't stop reading. I just reiterate this twice, I guess, because I think a lot of times what I've seen talking to a lot of beginner in Android developer, as a beginner Android developers, they don't read. So a lot of times they just want to ask, like if they encounter problems, they just ask. But I think you need to, I guess, try to increase your Googling skill, and just try to read stuff. And back to the fourth point, right? Don't just copy and paste, but just learn from it and learn from other people's code. Like nowadays, there's a lot of open source Android apps that you can read at GitHub, right? In GitHub, and you can just walk through to it and see how they code stuff. And that's one thing, one way for you to learn advanced stuff, right? Because, for example, if you read the source code for Timber, for example, I guess that's I don't know if you guys know Jack Wharton, right? One of the rock star in Android development. And if you've seen that, you can see how he codes, right? Through all the projects that he built during his time in Google and also in Square. So you can learn from him without knowing him, right? So I think that's important. So, and the last advice that I want to share is share what you've learned. That's the best way for you to, I guess, to absorb that knowledge. Because if you just read something and then you don't share it, probably you'll forget about it after a while. So it's good for you to share what you've learned. So I guess that's what the community is for, right? Is where every one of us can just meet and learn from each other. So it will help. You can start sharing to people around you, I guess, what you've learned from what you've learned, and I think that will be helpful. That will help a lot of people out there. So, okay, so I don't know if you all already started Android development yet or still going to start Android and development. But if you want to become an Android developer and doing Android development, you need to have the right tools, right? So at first you need to have the right IDE. I don't know, like at that, I guess the first year I became a GDE at the time, it was transition phase from Eclipse to Android Studio at that time. And I always joke around that if you're still using Eclipse, please migrate to Android Studio. And I think nowadays you don't. I think if you already started, probably you already started with Android Studio, right? And it's some mature tools for you to start coding Android apps, to build Android apps, and it's already much better than the first version. The emulator is getting better, much better, and yeah, I think they put out a lot of tools in Android Studio to diagnose your memory usage, the memory usage of your apps, to startup times, and even your views, the layers of your view, so you can visualize that everything inside Android Studio. So even now you can inspect your database, your app database, from the IDE. So so the first thing that you need to do to start your own journey as an Android developer is to install Android Studio. And I guess I recommended you to learn Kotlin, I guess, instead of Java. It's not that I'm saying that Java is bad, right? But with Kotlin you can make a more concise code, and it's much easier to read. And I think if you started to learn Android, probably it's good for you to learn about Kotlin too, because a lot of libraries, a lot of even documentations or sample codes is all in Kotlin right now. So yeah, I think it's good for you to prioritize learning Kotlin instead of Java if you still trying to learn the language. And like what I've said before, that one of the advice that I told you guys, that do not reinvent the wheel, right? So Jetpack will help you with that. If you go to and Google Android Jetpack, I think you go to their websites, and you'll see a lot of stuff in there that will help you to build a nice looking Android apps without trying to put out a lot of codes, repetitive codes. So I guess if you want to start building your own app, check out their website first, see what things that they have. Like, for example, if you need to read and write database to a database and store data there, you can use Room, and there's also navigations to help you build to take care of the navigation part of your app, right? And work managers. You don't need to do async tasks. I don't know if anybody here uses async tasks anymore, but yeah, in Android, when I was working in AK Notepad, I still need to work with async tasks. Now you have work managers and other stuff too. So I think it will help. And if you use Kotlin, you can use coroutines and stuff. So to help you with the async stuff that you're doing. So yeah, check out Jetpack, Android Jetpack. So once you install the IDE, check out, you know what you want to build. Try to make something simple, I guess, that can solve a simple problem. And yeah, look at Jetpack to see what things that the things that you can use to help you build your app. And I think the last cool things that we have right now in Android development is Jetpack Compose. And if you want to know more, you should, there is, I think, a lot of talks done by my co-GDE, Budi Octavian, right? So he did a lot of talks about that. So you can learn more of Jetpack Compose in details. And another way for you to build a UI much faster, and you don't need to build your UI in XML again. So everything is going to be run in code. So I think if you're interested on doing that, yeah, try to get deeper. I guess try to learn more about Jetpack Compose. So yeah, I think this explains why after, I think, 2008 to 2022, right? So it's around 14 years of my journey as an Android developer. Why I still, I guess, love Android development. I guess because Lumio is using Android. And I guess along my journey, I also did a lot of iOS programming. But at the end, because I guess Android is more flexible, and that's why I can use it in Lumio.id, right? Is why I pick Android. This is why, I guess, because once you know how to do Android development, you can build apps for your phone, tablets, even watch or IoT device. Also, you can do an app for TV, right? Android TV and Android Auto. So there's a lot of things you can do with Android, because Android, the OS itself is open source, right? So as long as you can build it to run on certain device, you can use your skill to build an app on top of it. So I think that's why I still love Android, and I wish you luck in your journey, your own journey too. And I hope that you'll enjoy your journey as much as I am, and just keep learning. I guess we shouldn't stop learning. You never, I guess, as a developer, or especially in a platform that's always changing, right? The Android ecosystem and even the platform itself keeps changing. And if you still want to be in that journey, you shouldn't stop learning. You still and don't stop reading too, because the resources is all out there, right? And you be able to learn a lot of things as long as you have the will to do it, right? And because I know that you guys already in this program, Bangkit, probably, yeah, you're willing to learn more about development stuff, right? So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy your journey as much as I enjoy mine. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you don't get bored yeah, listening to my story, my journey, and I hope your journey will be more much more fun than what my journey is. So yeah, back to you, Chandika.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrew, for sharing your experience as Android developer. There's one sentence that I highlight before. So if you're learning Android developer, it's like you never graduated. I
Yeah.
feel that, Mr. I feel that. Okay. Okay. So guys, we have to learning. So keep going, and you can prepare more as a beginner being Android developer. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Andrew, for your sharing.
Thank you.
And oh, it's look like a lot of people have us in the chat box. We
Mhm.
hope we can answer all of your question, guys. So let's just start the Q&A session. Okay. Uh, Okay, let's start with the first question from Michelle. As Android developer, what are troubleshooting techniques you usually do if an application is crashing frequently?
Okay. So for me, I guess if you already release your app, right? Probably you already have some crash recording app, just like Crashlytics. If you probably used it before, if you got the report from there, you can just read the stack trace, right, of the crash, and you know where the crash comes from. And probably first thing that you need to do is to, if you can contact the users that's using it, you can ask them how to reproduce the crash, right? If it's a crash that can be reproducible, or it's intermittent crash. But if it's intermittent crash that it's hard to reproduce, probably you can start by reading the stack trace, or and from there you can know which part of the code that causes the crash, and you just follow, I guess, you follow back the steps and see, try to see where it causes the crash, right? And probably once you know the logics behind, I guess, the code that causes the crash, probably you can try to reproduce it yourself first and see whether it will reproduce the crash, and then you start fixing it, I guess. Once you know.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, Michelle. Okay. Maybe addition from me, Michelle, fighting and never give up, yeah.
Yeah, and also never give up.
Yeah, okay, of course. Okay, and then it looked like someone from another pet, I think, Hafiz asked how to be concerned when learning programming to become a great developer. Can someone with a machine learning background become an Android developer or software engineer?
Machine. What's the last part of the question? Can you repeat that again?
Okay. Can someone with machine learning background become an Android developer or software engineer?
Is that all one question?
Okay.
Like one. So yeah, I guess. Yeah. If you want to become an Android developers, if you're a machine learning expert, right? You can also apply your knowledge in an Android app, right? Because machine learning is something that you can do in every platform, I guess, even in Android too. So you can apply your knowledge there too. And I think yes, the answer is yes. I think if you have the will to do that and you want to learn, then yeah, nothing is impossible, right? So
Yes. Nothing is impossible, Mr.
yeah, as long as you have the will, I think that's
Yeah.
the most important thing.
And then I think the first one, he asked about how to be consistent when learning programming to become a great developer.
Have the will. You need to have the will. Right? If you don't have the will, then how can you become
Yeah.
consistent, right?
Right.
Because
Oh,
I think if you don't have the will yet, I think it's good to have some, I guess, support, or probably if you are part of a community or a group of people, right, doing the same stuff, probably they can support you and you can support them on learning, right? So I guess stay in a like-minded group. Like, for example, if you want to learn programming, if you are always hang out with other people that wants to learn programming, it will help you, right, to be consistent.
yes.
And you can learn from each other. So if you learn A and then he learns B, you can learn B from him, and then he can learn A from you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, of course, Hafiz. If you believe you can fish, and then I think you can find other friends.
Yeah,
who
if you
want you to
believe.
learn. Yeah, you. Okay, and then we jump to the next question. How do you encourage yourself to learn more, especially by reading documentation by yourself? Maybe
I think this is
Farhan
very
feel
similar.
boring
Uh-huh.
reading documentation. So, how do
I
you
think
encourage yourself?
that's why I never like just go and read the documentations like the whole thing, right? Usually I do my development work first. I guess, like, for example, with the Notepad app that I was building, it's not that I just go and have a phone and then read documentations, but I try to build something. If you have something that you're building and you have encounter problems, then you start reading the documentations, right? The where on that part where you have problem with. So I think yeah, you need to have something first, then go read the documentations. So
So,
if you want to do something first, you have the goal of doing something or to do something in your app and you don't know how, then go and read the documentations.
so immediately put into practice, yeah,
Yeah.
Farhan. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you
So,
can start applying
yeah.
the things that you learned.
Sometimes we learn when we start make app. if if we
Yeah,
did
you
it,
need to start
yeah,
first. Mhm.
yeah, of course. Okay, okay. Next one from Ferza. If there are any bugs in our apps, is it okay if we prioritize just to solve it quickly with code that isn't clean and not readable, or we should directly consider long-term solution with clean code?
Hmm. Okay, so I guess it depends on what kind of bug that you have, right? Whether you have your boss told you to just like, you need to do this in 1 hour and you need to push the fix out there. Yeah. So it all depends, I guess. I mean, probably you can do that the quick. You can try to solve it quickly, but if your code is not, I guess it's not clean or not readable, probably can causes more bugs later on. So I think it needs to, you need to try to balance it out, right? Like, try to have it as quickly as possible, but not by sacrificing the cleanliness or readability of your codes.
Okay.
Because if
Okay.
you already put that code and commit it, and then suddenly you're having hard time to read it, it will cause more problems, right?
Yes. Okay. Maybe Ferza, ask about your habit, Mister. How do you usually solve your uh bugs in your work? Is it you search clean code or just quickly solve?
I think at Lumio right now, I cannot do a quick code and then start pushing it to everywhere, because as you know, that the app that that I'm building in Lumio is running by itself, right? Like, it's push and then it's going to be run by itself. So it's not going to you cannot tell users to, okay, please close your app, swipe up your app, and then try to restart or clean the data, the user data, and log in again. You cannot say that, right?
Yeah.
Because
course.
it's everywhere. Like it's in hundreds of screens, and it's in Papua or in
Yeah.
Makassar, and you cannot send people just to do that.
Yeah.
So I guess I need to take time to make sure that the solution is correct, and also need to test. I guess test is important too, because once you push the code, right? It's not like you're just going to push it and then let's build it and release it for the Play Store. You should test it out too. So yeah, I think.
Okay. Yes. So Ferza, maybe if I can wrap, so it's really depend on, yeah. But if you already working, maybe you should be careful when fixing something bugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, from Budi, how to stand out when applying for a job as an Android developer? Do you have to have Google Associate Android Developer Exam certification? Okay. Think two question. First one,
Okay.
how to stand out when applying for a job as an Android developer?
I think the certification will help, but not always. I mean, like for me, I never, when I interview people, I don't really look at their GPA or their certifications. Probably they put a lot of CVs or on their CVs, resumes, they put a lot of certifications, and their GPA is 4.0. Sometimes I don't care about it, because like what I care most is during the interview time, right? When I interview them, as long as if this is for a junior Android developer position, probably I will start asking them about the basic fundamentals of programming, right? And if they can answer it, and what I like the most to hear from the one that applies for a job at my company is that how many I guess, do you have your any personal projects that you did during your college years or during your free times? If you have an app that you built yourself, and if it's, even though it's simple, right, I can just look at it and then see how good you are from there, right? So I think that's more important than any certifications, and I guess for me personally, I don't know, but I think a lot of companies also look at the certifications. But for me, if you want to be you want to stand out as an Android developer, if you have a personal projects like a GitHub project, I guess if you have especially if you have a project a GitHub, right? They can just you can just give them the link, and then they can see how you code, right, and things like that. So I think that will help you to be to stand out from other job seekers. So even like for me, one example of it is that during my journey, I was interviewed as a GDE, right?
Yes.
And one questions that I think causes me to become a GDE, I think, is that my Notepad app was used by the Googler from Japan. So they said that, yeah, I used that. I used your app a lot before. Oh, so you're the one that created that. So I think that impresses him. So that's why, I guess. I don't know the whole reason, but I think that's one of the reasons that, I guess.
Okay. Agree, Mister. So, don't forget to upload your code to GitHub, guys. It's really help you
for your
to.
personal project. Don't
Yeah.
push your company's code.
You get trouble, code.
Yeah,
Upload. Yes, of course. Okay, thank you, Budi, for your question. And then the next one. Okay, I think as Android developer, do you have ever considered to change your career path?
Uh,
As you, do you have do you ever consider to change your career path, Mister? Like
I
jump
mean,
into
I've changed it, right? I guess like since I became entrepreneur, right? Like I need to do a lot of other stuff too, like management stuff. But because I still love development, I don't think about it as a career. But I just love to do doing it. So yeah, I mean, you can still do programming, and then I guess yeah, you can become other stuff in your job, right? So
so you do parallel
I guess
way.
my career path has changed, but I guess I still
Yes.
do a lot programming because I like it.
Yes.
So
Okay. So the
because
main
I like
role
to learn,
in
yeah. Hmm.
main role-nya tetap programming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, still programming. Okay. Okay, Bintang, you can try another path. It's okay. Uh, okay, the next one from Andika. What do you think about today cross-platform technology? Do they tend to be similar in term of concept, design pattern, or etc. compared to native technology, or are they different? Thank you, Mr.
I think it depends, right? Like nowadays you have Flutter to do multi-platform UI stuff and KMM to build so a lot of like business logics that you can combine as one and you can write everything in Kotlin, right? So if it's the same concept and it's not Flutter, I think it not always true. Probably it's different. The way you use Flutter and KMM probably is a little bit different, and especially compared to native technologies, right? But I think it's getting closer and closer. Like I guess, for example, KMM and native technologies, if you use Kotlin for your Android developments, probably it'll be easier for you to jump in to do KMM, but you still need to learn the concepts and how you can have this business logics run on both, and then which one you need to implement for each platform, right? So yeah, still I think you still need to understand the concepts for each solutions. It's not going to be exactly the same, right? But
Hmm.
as long as you understand the pro and cons, yeah, then you can jump in, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay. Okay. This is additional question for me, Mister.
Uh-huh.
I once got that words say like, is it true that you have to learn native first and then you can move to cross platform like Android jump to another, like, is it correct or not?
I Not, I mean, it's not always true, but I mean, it's not always false too. Like, I know some Flutter developer that only works for on Flutter, right? That
Hmm.
never touch Android stuff. But because they already uses widgets, pre-built widgets that somebody already built on top of it, that translates, I guess, the Flutter part and then the Android part, right? The native apps. But if you want to build your own widgets and other stuff, probably you need to still understand about some native stuffs on how to do it if you want to do.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
it depends. If
Okay.
you're in a team and then people already doing a lot of the underlying stuff, you can just use it. Then you can just use stuff. So probably you don't need to learn the native part.
Okay, I see, I see. Okay, thank you, Mister. Okay, thank you, Andika, for your question. Okay, next one. I would like to ask, would it better for us to learning making apps with a native language like Kotlin, for example, or instead use a okay, it's same things like okay,
Uh,
or instead
yeah,
use a
like
platform. Hmm.
see, I always say that it's always back to what you're planning to do and your skill, where your skill is. I guess if you're trying to build an app and then you want to do it on both, right? Sometimes you think that yeah, cross-platform framework like Flutter is going to be great, But sometimes when you do that, probably the basic stuff is easy with Flutter, but then when you need to access the camera and other stuff, then I think you need to do this in native and other stuff. So I guess try to plan it out ahead, like what features you're going to build. Like if it's just a simple app that reads data from an API and then just display it, probably Flutter is going to be faster. You can have two apps at once. But if you want to do it with native language, I'm sure you can do more complex stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Azhar. So you better learn all the
Yeah,
things
I mean,
AI
you can
is
always try, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're good at native apps, you want to try to see whether your Flutter will help. Then probably try to understand the pro and cons on the platform, the framework, and see what you can do with it. And then if you think that you can, if you're comfortable with it, and then want to jump into Flutter, you can always do that.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Farhan, for your question. And then next, jump to question from Dewa. As a mobile developer, does native speed really matter? And then what if I want to reach out more people to use my app in other platform as well? And then the last one, should I code in native or multi-platform? Okay, okay. I think the last one,
It's the same.
the same things. Okay.
Yeah, but I guess it's a matter of like how I guess reaching out more people, right? Like that's the goal of an app developer because you want to have your app to be used, I guess, to be installed in as many phones as possible. But if the like what I said before, I think the most important thing about having an app and if you want to make it popular is that it needs to be easy to use by the users, right? And it needs to help solve a problem that the user has. So I think that's the most important thing of to have an app, right? It needs to solve a problem that people is having in their life. And the reaching out part, I think it can be done through marketing or other stuff to boost your reach out of your app. But I don't think it depends on how whether you code in native or multi-platform. I know that you can save time by building stuff in multi-platform. If you know the concepts at the beginning and if you're prepared everything, probably you'll be faster. But if you just think, okay, yeah, let's just do KMM without knowing what it can, what's the pro and cons about that, or Flutter, probably it will backfire on you because you can start development without doing your due diligence or research, and then start building, spending like a week or two on that, and then suddenly, oh, you got stuck, and then there's no way for you to continue, or you don't know how to continue. Then you're wasting much more time, and your app didn't never get released. So, so it's better to do what you're comfortable with, right? If you're already an Android developer and you want to try out to build an app, don't think about like, let's just build something that can run on all platforms, because that's the dream, right? That you can have it running everything. But even with Android apps, if you're good at Android apps, you can have it running on Chromebooks, or your app can be run on Windows 11 now, I think. Right? So it can be run on desktop. So I think that's another.
Okay. By the way, Mister, if you don't mind, what was the first app you upload to Play Store and how many users?
The Notepad app. The Notepad app. The AK Notepad. And
yes?
It was, I think, like I told you before, it was like 8 or 9 million install. So yeah.
How's your feeling?
Because like it's everywhere. So yeah, I was proud of it at first, and like reading the reviews.
Oh my God.
it was cool. Like if you search for AK Notepad, like I don't know, like I tried to search AK Notepad before, and even do you know Wired magazine? Even like the YouTuber, the most popular YouTuber, FKBHD, the tech reviewer, he used to like at the beginning of his career, he he reviewed my app when he was young. So so yeah, sometimes I yeah. So
I thought it.
and
Yes.
it was nice to to have a Googler in Android platform team contacted me to make sure that my app is compatible with an Android that hasn't been released. Because like today you have always have the Android beta, right? When there's a Android version, a new version coming, it always have the beta that you can install on your phone. But at that time, when we first have Android, it just released on a new phone, so it's not going to be released on the So that's a difference.
Oh, I thought it was a nice experience. I feel feel from your story, Mister. Okay, thank you, Mister. Okay, we jump to the next question from Melania. How do you communicate and delegates programming technical related idea to non-programming people? Okay, and how to not feel scared to financial ambiguity as a startup founder? Okay, so Melania has the question. Can
Okay,
answer the first one.
yeah, that's a skill that you need to learn, I guess, to communicate technical ideas, because like a lot of non-technical people, they usually think that everything is easy, right? Like
Yeah.
everything, it's simple, right? Like you just do this and change it, change the app, and I don't think it's going to be hard. But as a technical person, uh, uh, you have different way of thinking and views, right? So I guess try to simplify stuff first, and just like for example, if you want to have an technical idea of doing stuff, right? Like you need to scale this up or things like that. Try to make it. Try to find words that's not technical, right? Try to find similar things, non-technical stuff that you can, or probably an analogy that you can use to share your idea. So it's not going to be that technical. Try to give a story or something, or how it's going to be used. And how not feel scared. I mean, as a startup founder, it's always financial stuff is always scary. Right? Like it's because you don't have as much money, or I mean, you have limited amount of funds that you need to use to build your products and to support your team. Like if you don't have, I mean, you and as a startup founder, it's pretty much you have a team to feed, right? Like I guess to support, and that's always be on you. And I guess just try to plan it out and see. And that's why I guess in startup we need to be agile, right? And try to do everything. I mean, you can change directions much faster than a big company. So try to build stuff not too long. Don't spend too long to build your apps or to build your products. You just need to test it out. Like build, test, and build, test. So from the test results or the user feedbacks, you can then have either you change directions or you still proceed with the directions that you're thinking, because their idea has been validated, right? So I think as long as you have the planning, doing the due diligence and the planning correctly, you don't need to be scared about medical stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But I know that there's a lot of I mean, always have that in your mind.
Okay. Based on from millennia question, can you
Hmm.
tell us, if you don't mind, a little about fundraising Luminio.id at the beginning you built your startup? Is that?
So Lumio, we just had like I guess a seed funding, but from a company that I guess that works on that in that area too.
Mm,
So in the digital signage area. So I guess they um, understand the problems, the current problems that people are having in that right in that area. And so I think if you want to find fundings, I think don't pick just any angel investor or anything that will
mm,
give you money, but
yes.
try to find someone that or somebody or some company that or VCs uh, that knows the things related to your products, and probably they can help too, right? Try to
Mm,
because by selling it to their clients probably, or because they're also working in that same area. So yeah,
mm,
just pay attention to where your money is from, right? And if you
yes.
can, yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that all startups needs seed A. I guess like Series A, Series B funding. I mean, as long as you
Mm,
think that's enough, you can just do it. Yeah, you
yes.
can just
Okay.
build. If you build something, you don't need to grow. I mean, it'll be great to have sudden funding because then you can like grow really really fast.
Okay.
But if you're not ready, sometimes it can become yeah, right. It can step you back too. It can kill
Mm.
your product too if it grows too fast, but you're not ready. So
Okay.
it depends.
Yes, of course. But yeah, it means to be careful and then find people who have
Mm,
one mission and vision to you. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Okay. Okay. Next question from Rizka. What is the most important things for mobile developer to improve and to compete on the international stage?
Okay. Uh, keep up to date with the current trend. I think that's one important thing because sometimes some developers is too convenient of doing stuff. They don't want to learn new stuff, right? So they just do what they were told to, and then just do it without asking or without. But as developers, you need to think on everything that you're doing, right? And try, I guess, by keeping up with the latest stuff because the even the platform itself is always changing, right? So and a lot of new stuff is being found by others. So that's why I guess it's important for you to keep up with that, with all the
Yeah.
progress that other people makes, and with all the tools. For example, if there's new tools for things that you've been doing, but it taking too long, and then you have these tools that can make your lives faster and easier. Probably, yeah. If you don't know about that, then how can you compete with other people? Even not just on the international stage, but
Mm.
even just domestically. Because nowadays, I think, yeah, even the developers here, like they're all, yeah, I
Mm.
think matches the developers up there. So
Yeah, I see. Mm. So Rizka, keep up with that. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. The next one from Farhan. I want to ask, can someone with, okay, ini I think this same
Mhm.
question for before, like, can someone from another background into become an Android developer, or someone with Android developer background shifting their career path to be UI UX designer?
Oh, so the question is different than
This
the.
the
Oh, I
the
thought I
first
was
one
reading
same
the.
like before question, and then the
Uh huh.
second one me I think different. Okay, so we read the second one. Someone with the Android developer background shifting their career path to be UI designer.
Uh-huh. Oh, with graphic designer wants to become an Android
Yeah.
developer.
Can someone with Android developer background shifting their career path to be UI UX designer?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you if you want to change and you have the will to do that, then yeah, you can do that. Because I know somebody who was an accountant in accounting major, and he suddenly becomes an Android developer because he just start learning and opening books, like try to read a book first, and then once he start building something, and then yeah, then you can just learn by going to Stack Overflow or like I was telling you all, that you can just go to GitHub and see how other people's coded, and right, and with all the tools that you have, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the other way around, I mean, I don't know if it ever going to be as good. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on the person, I guess.
Okay. Yes.
As long as you have the tool, I mean, like graphic designers, if you want to become Android developers, you need to have the basic programming knowledge. Once you do that, then you can go and become an Android developers. But I mean, for Android developers to become UI UX designers, sometimes we don't have the taste for it. Like, I guess we don't have a taste, like the design taste for it. Then yeah, then how can we become a great UI UX then? I mean, UX part probably we know because we learn, the best practices. You can also learn that.
Yes. I think it's a good thing if you want to learn, Farhan, and so that we can understand each other. So no more debate between developer and UI designer.
Yeah, and then we can become both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we understand each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Next from Echo. In Android development, there are a lot of things to learn in depth. How do you deal with that? And do you still need to solve your problem by going to a visual document or Stack Overflow?
Of course. I mean, like, no, no. I mean, I think nobody will know everything in depth. I guess in Android, right? I guess everything in Android or in everything in programming, because there's so much to learn, right? And sometimes you don't use it. You don't use some parts. For example, Jetpack. There's so many libraries out there. Collection of libraries, right? But if I don't never use some of them because I have a need for it, then if you ask me, I would probably know how, or I can just read it first and then explain it to you. But if you just ask me when you pass by at the mall, and then you just ask me like, hey, can you explain this? And if I never use it, then probably I will say no.
Yeah.
But that's why I guess we already reiterate this again and again, right? That going to official doc is, I think everybody is doing that, right? Sometimes even with the most expert Android, sometimes developer, like a senior Android developers, they probably stuck in something, right? And they need to see probably somebody seek somebody's help, or probably even Google stuff to see whether the problem has been solved by another people or something like that. Because if it's already fixed by other people, then you don't need to fix it again, right?
Yep.
Why do you need to reinvent the wheel, right? So
Yep.
that's
Of course. Because until we're learner, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's okay, but see in Stack Overflow or official document, and then etc. And then the next one from Anggita, I think it's the same question. I want to ask: is it better to focus on native Android first on the mobile cross-platform? What do we need to prepare become a software engineer?
to become a software engineer. I guess you don't need to focus.
Yes.
You don't need to focus on one or another, because software engineer is general stuff, right? As long as you can develop stuff, the basic programming fundamentals, then you're a software engineer, I guess. And how you solve problems in that in your code, that's a software engineering part. But picking native Android or mobile cross platform, I don't think it matters. It's up to you, I guess, whether you're interested on the Android native programming, or you want to do mobile cross platform. You can still be called software engineer.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anggita, for your question. And then, well, all aim for technology perfection. Do you think there was a time when features were no longer invented because all features were invented? Whoa. Okay.
I don't think so, because like even uh, for me as I guess at my startup, right, Lumio.id, like we will never reach perfection, because like once we have reached the perfections, then that means you don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Then you're not innovating anymore. So I think I don't think we'll reach technological perfections in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody will get that point.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think there
Because
will always something new in this world,
yeah,
of course.
yeah,
Because okay, okay, thank you,
especially in our
Haikal.
space, right? Yeah,
Yeah, of course,
in technology space, like, because
always and really fast.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Next, from Sila, Mister. As an expert Android developer for a long time, how do you keep yourself updated and get used to the latest update?
Okay. Joining events is one thing. I guess as a GD, we got privilege to go to Google I/O or like Android Dev Summit. But I mean, since the pandemic, right? We stopped travel. We stopped traveling part, but I think it's now there's online events. You can always get the latest update there. Everything is now become online, right? Even Google I/O, like you used to pay. If you're not a GDE, you need to pay, or like if you're just somebody who wants to get a ticket, it's I think $1,500, around 25 million just for the ticket, and you get. I think you need to get a draw. Like I guess they will draw whether you get a ticket or not, because it's limited, right? But since the pandemic, they open the registrations for everyone and it's free. So I think that's another options, and you can always follow like developer communities where people shares stuff and the latest stuff. I think that's the fastest way you can do that, right? And just read online resources or follow blogs or tweets. I think you'll be updated in no time.
Yeah, of course. So, Sila, you can joining the event, even it's online or offline, follow the developer community, and then reach online results. Okay, thank you, Sila. And then the next one from Aditya. What usually you do to get more inspiration for developing a new program that might be useful for others?
Can you repeat again? Because it
What
doesn't appear.
Okay, what usually you do to get more inspiration for developing a new
Inspiration.
program that might be useful for other? Maybe you're motivated.
I mean, you always. I guess it depends on how far you want to look for it, because I think even around us, like there's a lot of problems that you want to tackle, right? Because I know that every one of us probably complaining about stuff, like I guess when they drive or when they and that's usually where the ideas comes, right? When you found that, like for example, I guess in COVID situations like today, right? We cannot go to. I think this is just a sample, right? Like, now we cannot touch everything. Then let's build a digital menu or things like that, right? Like ordering stuff, because then I mean somebody already do it, but I mean that's how you always try how you get an idea, right, for an app, because everywhere you look, there's always going to be a problem.
Yes, of course.
Like for me, even like building Lumio, it's like it started from a problem that we saw, because like
Okay.
how insecure it is, right? And you want to build something more secure, things like that.
Okay. Can you tell us how did you find the idea of Lumioid? Can you give us short story?
Okay, so I think the idea is not completely from mine, like it's from my partner. But at that time, it was near my wedding, and I was still in Upsindo, right? The previous company before Lumio IT. So my team there, he always has this idea where digital signage, he doesn't want to have, like when you see digital signage, most of the time you just see video, right? Video or images. It's not something that dynamic, like it's not like for example a currency you can have a currency rate, for example 1 USD to 14,500 rupiah, but you want something that can change over time depending on the data, like for example depending on the weather condition. If it's raining, you want to show hot drinks, or if it's hot, then you want to show the cold drinks. And so he always, we have the same visions, and we started the first product, the prototype that we did is for my wedding. So all the tweets that uses my hashtag shows in a screen that we built at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, and after that, I guess we learned that there's a need for easier way for people to manage content on the digital signage, because at that time most of the signage uses PC, Windows PC. So you need to maintain the antivirus, and then you use TeamViewer, and then I think there's a case where there's a video that's not supposed to be played on outdoor digital signage, and it got played, and that becomes a big news. So from that first problem, we built the first prototype for Lumio, and then we learn more, I guess, on the business side, what's other problems that users is having, and then we build stuff on top of it, right? We improve. Even now, we're still working on new features, right? Because we know that, this is not perfect yet. We need to build something to make it much more easier.
Wow, it's a cool things. Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrew, for sharing your sharing. Okay, the next one from Regan Agam. Based on your experience, what obstacle have you ever faced as an Android developer?
When you're stuck with a problem.
Okay.
I think not just Android developers, right? Like all developers will one time get stuck in something, then, or even with the same tools, or sometimes we just updated the tools, the build tools, for example, and then suddenly our app is not building anymore. Like we cannot build our apps anymore. So that's more of, I guess, that's the obstacles that usually you find in your daily life as an Android developer, right? So I guess don't update the tools too fast, because sometimes when something got released, and then you always you have sometimes you feels that you want to press update, right? But I think if you're working on really important stuff, don't do that. Don't do that like in the first day or two. Like just try to see whether other people face a bug or on the tools, because that tools, like for example Android Studio, if the build tools doesn't work, then how can you start? How can you make progress on your development work, right? So because that's the only tools that you need and that can build your app.
Of course.
So,
Okay, because there's always a way to solve your bug. Yes. Okay,
yeah.
we jump into the next question. Okay, what parameters need to be the most considered when design and developing an Android application?
Need to be the designing.
Designing and developing an Android application.
Okay, I think it needs to uh, designing develop Android applications. I think you need to plan it right. I guess
Mhm.
you need to make sure that, for example, on the design part, you need to make sure that it follows the guidelines. Like for example, don't try to create like an iOS app design and move it
Yes.
to try to build exactly like that in Android apps, because that will confuse user, right? So you need to understand like material design and so that's, I think, one of the important thing on the design part. And I guess for developments, yeah, I mean, if you can build the diagram first, like to see like things that you want to build, make sure that how the UI will navigate, and then start developing, I guess. I think now with the storyboard features on Android Studio, it's easy because I mean, like you can build the UI part first, and then how it navigates, and then start building the logics after that. So yeah,
Okay, it's
because you
great
need to make
that
sure all the use case, right? Like all whether the user can go to the screen, if do they need to log in first or no, or they can skip the login or
yeah.
stuff like that. Probably it's nice to have a storyboard to
Yeah.
to do
Okay.
this before you start implementing it.
It's a great if you understand the basic and the fundamental first. Okay, thank you. The next one from Mufid Bahri. As an Android developer in the company, pressure from partners and superior, if we were needed to complete the project but it's not done, how will you respond? Oh, okay. You can
I mean, it depends on
depends
why
on
it's not done.
yeah, yeah, of course.
I mean, like, I mean, if we get pressure, but I mean, if it's the time that they gave us, or it doesn't make sense, or we have they told us to do something else, or we need to do something else, then we can just tell them what we did, right? I mean, question is not like trying to ask how to lie, how to lie to your superiors.
Yeah.
Because like I guess if you don't do it, I mean, if you didn't do it because you just don't want to do it, then I don't know how can I help you with on your response. You can just say whatever, I guess, like whatever, but I guess if you have something to do, or the time doesn't make sense, then you can just tell them that, yeah, because I need to do this. Probably you need to hire somebody else to, I mean, like other people to do that, then I can focus on this, right? Like, or something.
So it really depends on, and you have to
Yeah.
be honest and responsive,
Yeah,
guys.
just be honest. Just be
Be
honest. I
honest,
guess.
yes, just be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, okay.
Or I guess you can just say I don't feel like it because I'm too bored with this problem. I need to solve bigger problems. And then you just say that,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Okay, let's go jump to a question from Farhan. How do you balance your learning by reading while also learning by doing project? So, how you balance?
I think we answered this before too. Like, I guess because the reading part. I mean, the reading part. It's not because of because if it's reading the documentations because of a problem, then you read it because you doing project and then you have problem, then you read it. But I guess reading new stuff, or related to new stuff, or going to events, it's the same thing, right? It's you just do it in your free time, right? It's then you balance it out, right? Because you're not taking times from doing projects, but because you want to learn something new, then you do either you learn by reading because you want to apply that to a project, or you just want to learn first, just want to know first, and then you can just go to an event or just read new stuff like blogs or right about new features or new libraries, and then oh yeah, this is good. Probably it'll be useful for my future projects. Probably not now, but probably in the futures. Once you encounter the problem, sometimes you remember the thing that you read, right? Oh yeah, I think I know that there is something that can help me with this, and you can just go that back again.
Yes. I think you can, if I can give an additional answer, you can make a good time management, and then you can do
Yeah.
everything well. Like you use Trello or use Google Calendar
Yeah.
for balance your learning.
Yeah, balance your time, like time management. Yeah.
Time management, yes.
And like reading, you're not supposed to just like memorize everything, right? We're
Yeah.
not expecting you to learn and then memorize like things and then you're going to test out. You just read to know, I guess, to know the concept or the stuff, the bigger stuff, and then later on, if you need it, then you can just go back to that reading and then open the book again.
Yes, of course, of course. Okay, thank you, Mr. Okay, I think the next question from Rifano. People say that it takes at least 100 hours to become an expert at something. Based on your personal experience, how many hours do you usually spend in the day learning Android development?
Since I guess like I don't know, like I guess like if I just learn to do Android development, probably I just did that during the first period. I guess that during the first year of Android development, probably, right? Like just like when I do the Notepad app. I never counted the exact hours, but because I do hybrid, like because I try to implement stuff that I learn right away. So actually, if you count that, then probably there's a lot of 10,000 hours. It's not that long, I guess, because if you spend 2 hours a day to build your app or to learn, right? To learn to build apps or whatever, then it's only 5,000 hours, 5,000 days, and it's around 10 years, yeah. But if it's just 2 hours, but the learning opportunity is much bigger than that in actual in your real life, right? Because you work, probably if you're working as Android developers, probably the whole time, I guess the whole day, from that 8 hours, probably 4 hours or 6 hours you keep learning, right? Because you got new problems to solve, probably from your boss or from your company or from your user. That's learning, right? How you implement that's a learning phase too. So it'll be much faster than 10 years, probably. Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
You don't need to count. Don't count the hours, because if you start counting hours, then you probably that because you don't like learning, right? Because it's just enjoy the time, I guess. Just let it flow.
Yes, of course. Just focus on what do you instead, and then instead
Yeah.
of how much time do you spend. Okay.
And like I said, I never said that. I guess I don't want to say myself as an expert, because it's just like, let's just learn more stuff. I just want to share. I mean, I have something to share to you, but it's not saying that, I'm the expert, like, like, because probably there's more people, Because I still need to learn from others too, and then
but still
just
you
more
are the
experience,
expert.
I guess. Just more experience.
Yeah. Okay. But you are our role model.
No.
Okay. Of course. Okay. Okay. Wow. But I think this is the last question. Okay. What are the joys and benefit as Google developer expert? Can student invite you to university event or seminar and etc.?
Okay. yeah, I guess like I share some of the joys and benefits as Google Developer Expert in my presentations. Like I can meet with a lot of other developers from especially big companies. Like my company is like small, but I met like developers from Agoda, from TikTok, like and other big companies, right? Like even Dropbox and other stuff. So that's a good way for you to connect to other people around the world, like other developers around the world. And the fun is to meet with people. I guess especially in Indonesia, you can before the pandemic, we have a budget to travel to other cities in Indonesia to share knowledge to others, right? To meet new people for example, in Makassar, in Manado, and other remote part also in Indonesia, right? That's the fun thing that I guess that as a GDE.
Yeah.
And I guess students or DSC or anybody can invite me. Like, I guess that's why I said that the GD title helps me a lot on doing what I want. I guess on me trying to do what I want to do even before becoming a GD, right? Because when I want to get back, when I went back from the United States to Indonesia, I always want to raise up more developers, right? And I guess even with this event, I got invited, and then it's really nice to meet all of you, even online. Even this is on an online event, right? But to interact with you guys, it's really amazing.
Of course, I think because every place is a school, and then everyone is a teacher, so you can learn from each other. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. But I think we have to close session Q&A session.
Yeah.
Oh,
The time went by so fast.
yeah. Of course. Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrew, for the
Thank you,
material
Janika.
and sharing and very thoughtful answer. But due to the limited time, we have to suffice. Maybe Mr. Andrew has a message for all of us who are coming soon. Will also be an Android developer in the future.
Yes, just keep learning, because the learning part is the journey, right? Because all your journey will be just learning new stuff. Yeah, so don't stop learning.
Okay, don't stop learning, guys. Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrew Rico. Let's for me to conclude our guest session today. What Mr. Andrew said before, you will miss 100% of the shot you don't take. So take a shot, pull the trigger, don't miss your chance. I'm Chendikya as the moderator of the guest speaker session today with them Kickstart Your Career as an Android Developer. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew, and thank you guys. Cheers for the submission. Goodbye, and see you in the next event. Bye-bye.